Welcome to all visitors of this third episode of our webinar series, Rethinking Supply Chain Operations. My name is Rob Schuurbiers and I'm your host for today. For those who joined earlier episodes of our webinar, as you can see today we are again in our control room, and also today the format is the same as in the previous webinars. As Semacon team, we accept challenges provided by supply chain professionals. And today, as you can see, we have a live connection with our challenger, and I'm really proud that Mrs. Alison Wine-Davies, Managing Director of GIST, joins us today. Hi, Alison.
Hi, good afternoon.
Thank you so much for joining and providing us with a really challenging, a big challenge that we're going to discuss today. And I'm really happy that we managed to have this live connection today so that we can share your challenge and our solution to the audience today. And I'm so proud of you joining this webinar because of your track record in supply chain operations and all the thinking behind the challenge that you shared with us. And may I refer that you even are nominated by Amazon with the Every Woman Supply Chain Award. Congratulations, Alison.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm really pleased to be here. I've been involved with this sort of industry for quite some time in my past career with telematics and trying to find solutions as far as making sure that our drivers are driving on the road safely, but also that we can get the data from them. So it's a real privilege for me as well. Thank you very much, Tom, for the introduction.
Okay, and Alison, you're already mentioning the technology in supply chain operations. Since you are already so long in this business, could you please share a bit more of your background for our audience today, what you did over the last years in supply chain operations?
Okay. I started my career in brewing quite some time ago, but where I really came into technology, particularly with vehicles and CAN bus technology, was in my tenure with Hovis and Premier Foods, where we put a system into our vehicles to be able to track what we had at the time was about 980 routes across the country from 26 sites. And what we really needed to do was make sure that the drivers were optimising those routes, driving in the right direction and getting the kilometres down. We had huge impact after putting that system in and really developed our planning, our tools, and also embraced and engaged with the drivers. So wonderful opportunity. And then as that technology changed and developed, we then came to the end of it where we are today, where we use it to record PODs, equipment release, drivers being able to obviously contact the depot in a much easier way, but more importantly, getting the data back of what our drivers are doing on a daily basis. So that's my background through a number of different companies that I've worked for over the years to where I am today with GIST, where we're rolling that out, enhancing the tools that we already have today. But at the end of the day, it's all about getting the data back so that we can analyse it and make sure we're doing the best job possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Alison, for this explanation. I think this gives a wonderful context to the challenge that you provided us with. It was about a few weeks ago that you shared your challenge with us, and it's all about data. And what I really would like to do now is to go back 2-3 weeks ago and look which challenge you provided us with. But before we do that, I really would like to mention to our audience that they are very much invited to make use of the chat function in this webinar. Please feel free to ask questions to the Simacan team or to Alison so that we can come back to your questions during this webinar. And there's one functional item that I really would like to bring under your attention. It could be that to get full experience of the movies that we prepared for today, that you need to unmute the movies in your own browser. Okay, having said that, I really would like to go to the challenge that you provided us with, Alison. So let's start the movie.
Here is the challenge, Semacon. Vehicles from GIST face many challenges on the road once they leave for a delivery. Many factors such as accidents on the road or traffic jams are unforeseen. But some are foreseen, such as time windows on a delivery schedule, the delivery times for a busy city centre, or even rush hours. All this in advanced data can help you improve your real-time transport operation process, I am sure. So my question is, how can data help me optimise my transport process now and into the future?
Thank you for your explanation. It's clear, it's all about data and we have the best team to work on this.
Loading Simacan team assembly.
Hi ladies, how are you?
Hi Rob. Hi Rob, everything is fine. How are you?
I'm fine.
What do you got for us today?
Today I've got a challenge that's all about data. I really would like to share this challenge with you. I made a movie about the challenge. So, shall we have a look?
Yes, sure.
A transport operation starts with well thought out planning. A transport planner always tries to take into account common factors. These include driving times with daily delays, ETAs, and driver-specific information. For example, will the trip be driven with a vehicle from the company's own fleet, or will it be done with a chartered truck? At a certain point, the number of factors is too much for a human being to keep track of when planning for a specific time and route. How can data help in making realistic, achievable, and above all, cost-effective plans for all stakeholders within transport supply chains?
Makes sense, right?
Yeah, perfectly.
I know you are the professionals that can deal with this, so I wish you good luck in solving this puzzle.
Alison, as you can see, we accepted your challenge. This was about 2-3 weeks ago, and in the meantime, we worked on this. Before we go to the explanation of the things that we are working on, I really would like to know if you have something to add or to emphasize within this challenge so far.
I think learning the data and seeing what can be extracted from the systems is a wonderful thing, but it's equally making it simple so that it can be done at site at levels that can extract it very easily. The last thing you need to do is to make it even more complicated. But I do have one burning question, and could you tell me what the name of the dog is? It's absolutely fabulous.
That's a good question. So let's already go over to Floor, because
yeah, the name of the dog is Tommy.
Tommy.
Oh, very nice. Beautiful. Very lovely.
So I think that is a very good question. As you can see, as a Semacon team, we really try to mix the good things of our professional life and the things that we do in our private lives. So Tommy the dog is even in the control room today. We will not show him, but we can send pictures afterwards. So and I think to come back to this challenge about data and information, I think another very important thing is for you as a managing director of a big logistics company is the customer requirement, isn't it? Taking those into account when running your business.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, we share all of our information with our customer. It is live in their operation as well as it is in ours. It's very, very important to us that it's available.
Yeah.
And as I've said previously, easy to read and understand.
Exactly. What I would like to do now with this context, to go over to Floor and Anne, because they worked really hard on this challenge. So let's put back the connection to Floor and Anne. Hi, Floor.
Hi.
You did your preparations for today, and if I summarize it correctly, you worked out a scenario that could very well fit with the GIST operation, isn't it?
Yes, that's true. Thank you for your question, Alison. Thank you for your question on how data can help you optimize your transport process. We're going to take you for a ride into our data.
We want to provide you with a small story about pre-trip, on-trip, and post-trip. So how can you optimize your transport process, especially for GIST?
So let's say I work as a transport planner for GIST. I get a transport request. 10 containers with ice cubes need to be shipped from Bristol to Cardiff. This is not a one-off operation, but the execution needs to be done every day of the week, at least for the next few months. The first thing I check is the distance from Bristol to Cardiff. It's about 45 miles, and let's assume I take a normal lorry for this transport, and the maximum speed of this lorry on the highways that I see, most of the type of roads that we see on this map are highways, and the vehicle can drive a maximum of 60 miles per hour on those roads. So let's assume our average speed is 45 miles per hour. That means that this transport operation will take us 60 minutes. Am I doing it right, Anne?
Oh yes, you're right, Floor. I'm a data specialist, and I want to show you what you all have to do to get a very nice planning. First, you have to take into account which route you want to take, because there are many possible options. For example, there's the blue route, yellow, and the green route. And there are also some restrictions. On the blue route, there's an overpass with a weight limit. So heavy vehicles cannot pass this bridge. So you have to take another route. And maybe there are some time restrictions. Maybe there's a school in a city and all that students want to go to school very safe without lorries that also take that road. So you have to take into account which time of the day you want to go from Bristol to Cardiff and which route you have to take.
So I guess this information is all available on the Semacon platform, right? So let's say you provide me with a good, safe route that I can take, and I can send the information about that route to my driver. Let's take a look pre-trip. What data do we know beforehand?
Beforehand, we know already the travel time. For example, the travel time is 60 minutes that you take from Bristol to Cardiff. That's the blue line. So it takes, independent of the time of the day and the day of the week, it will take you about around 60 minutes from Bristol to Cardiff. But I think you also know that sometimes it takes longer or less long to drive. So do you know already about other factors? Because Alison was already talking about accidents or rush hours, which influence the travel time and you drive slower. Do you also know factors?
Yeah, I do. And last week we posted a poll on LinkedIn and we raised the question, which uncommon events do you have to take into account while planning your transport operation? Even if you don't always have to do so. And the possible options were major events like a festival, an open bridge or closed roads, or the capacity at the distribution center. And all the options got votes. But there are also more foreseen and unforeseen influences like the type of truck you're using. You mentioned the time of the day and the day of the week. But what about, is it a public holiday or an ordinary day? Is it snowing or is the sun shining? Is it summer or winter? What if the vehicle broke down or what if the driver got ill? Many influences that you have to take into account.
Ah, yes, thank you. We also have a realized trip service, and with this trip service we can see, for example, what the travel time is for certain trips. So if you have many trips from Bristol to Cardiff, for example, on Monday there are 4 trips, it could be that the travel time is not always the same. So as you can see, it's the yellow dots.
So what you are trying to say is that looking at the average driving time is not a good measure because there are so many outliers. Apparently, the time of the day and the day of the week are a big influence on my travel time. So, for example, when I leave Monday at night at 1 a.m., it takes me about 60 minutes to drive from Bristol to Cardiff. But if I leave Friday at noon at 4 p.m., it takes me 75 minutes. That's a 15 minutes difference, and that's huge. That's a big difference.
Yes, that's correct. But there are a lot of parties that also collect all this data. We use the profile data from TomTom. It looks like this. And what it says is that the traffic situation differs over the time of the day and the day of the week. So sometimes it takes longer to drive from Bristol to Cardiff, and sometimes we already know that maybe it's shorter to drive from Bristol to Cardiff.
So when I look at this red graph here behind me, the higher the peaks are, it means that the higher my travel time is, right?
Yes.
And am I seeing it correctly that the peaks represent the rush hours?
Yes. On Monday we have, for example, 2 rush hours: the morning rush hour when everyone goes to their work, and the evening rush hour when you go back to home. And this is the same for all the days of the week, except for in the weekends, because then there's less rush hour, so your travel time will be much lower.
I can imagine that. But what if my Monday, for example, Monday is not a regular Monday, but it's Easter Monday? How does a day like that affect the travel time? How is the traffic in real time, in real life, compared to such a profile? That's hard to say without data.
Yes, but in the data you can already see that when it's a holiday, there are less rush hours. So we add a factor to it. We call it the seasonal factor, where you can see to the region and also the date if there's a holiday. So we can apply and say, oh, it's holiday, so there will be less rush hours. Maybe it looks like this. All the travel times are maybe almost the same during the day because it's holiday.
That's interesting. So what you are trying to say is that my travel time consists of 2 parts. The first part is a basic travel time, which is the absolute minimum. So vehicles have a maximum speed on the roads, and it means there is just a basic travel time for my routes. And in addition to that basic travel time, there's the delay. And delay depends on the time of the day and the day of the week. And you are saying that the seasonal factors you just mentioned, they adjust the delay so that it matches better with reality.
Yes, but there are also other things. Think about when you're driving it in a truck, it has another maximum speed as the normal vehicle. So if you know that you are driving a truck, you have also get a longer travel time, and that we also can take into account. So we look to the vehicle profile of the vehicle profile and can adapt our travel time.
That's great. So yeah, this planning, it's the best we can do because we take as many factors as possible into account. But the planning is just the planning in the end, and it's like the weather. Sometimes the weather prediction says it will rain, and it turns out that there's sunshine. So yeah, what I'm trying to say is situations change all the time, and there are so many circumstances over which you have no control. Sometimes there's more traffic, and sometimes there's less traffic. And when you are a data specialist, of course, you always want that every plan is the same as the execution. But that's not what's happening in real life.
No, it will be very nice if everything is the same and we know beforehand what's going on the road. But it's not too, we cannot predict it. An accident, we don't know if it's happening. So also we use, during the execution of the trip, we use the current situation of the roads. We combine multiple data sources, for example, the profile travel times, where we already talked about, but also the current situation on the road, and also if there's an accident, what type of accident it is, so that we can take that into account. And also our planning, we look to it and where are all that trucks driving, so we can inform all.
So the real-time data tells us about the real-time situation on the roads. We got data sources that provide us with something that we call the current speed. And it means that from every vehicle that is driving on the road right now, we can see how fast they are driving. So for example, when there's no congestion at all, we can see that trucks on the highway are driving 60 miles per hour, right?
Yes, we can. But we also can see if a truck is driving 20 kilometers per hour and there's a congestion. That is also important to know.
Yeah, and we visualize this effect on the map that you see here behind me. When a road is colored white, it means that there is no congestion and vehicles can drive to the maximum allowed speed. But when a road is colored deep red, and it's not visible on the map right now, but when a road is colored deep red, it means that the speed is close to 0 kilometers per hour. So at a glance, you can see how the situation on the road is.
Yes, so to summarize a bit what we are talking about, pre-trip, we know already the travel time, but we can improve it using the current data and the current situation on the road.
And we also use this actual situation on the road to predict the arrival times. Every time a truck sends a GPS location to us, we recalculate the estimated time of arrival. And we try to make the best estimates and inform everybody in the chain, everybody involved, so that we all know what's going on.
But post-trip, we want to improve even more. For example, when it's Corona, we had last year, we know there are less rush hours. So we have to take that into account so we can improve even more.
And we also use this post-trip data to give you insights in your own logistical operation. For example, how many trips did you do on average in the last month? How many stops were delivered with their time windows? How was the real travel time compared to what you planned? And what about the stop duration? Did the stop take less time than you planned or maybe more time?
So with all this information, we want to improve your logistic operation to get, for example, more accurate arrival times. Allison's question was, how can we use data to reduce costs of the transportation? Of course we can. We looked pre-trip, we looked on-trip, and we can improve the travel time. But we can also care that all the people that work on it, so the driver on trip, but also the transport planner before the trip and the administrator post-trip, that they can all work together so that it certainly saves you costs.
Interesting. So what to expect from Semacon in the future? We're going to add more information to our platform, like information about time windows and environmental zones. But we also want to continue to give you more insight in your own logistic operation. For example, with information about the stop time limits. So in that way, we can make transport altogether not only more cost efficient, but also safer and more sustainable. And that's for the future, but we are also doing many things right now, and we have a video for you about that.
Semacon simplifies the execution of transports by providing a comprehensive range of data for both pre-trip, on-trip, and post-trip. Historical, seasonal, and real-time data supports transportation companies in making accurate, feasible, and cost-efficient plans. This can be combined with road and location information and information from various regional authorities. For example, are you planning a transport to a busy city centre? Do you want to know the arrival time at that location? And you can only enter the centre by using a tunnel with a limited height. Or another example, do you want to know if your vehicle will be delayed en route due to traffic congestion? But do you also want to be able to estimate how much travel time it will take if you're stuck in a traffic jam on a Monday morning? Semacon makes these questions easy and the answers transparent for you. The platform takes all these factors and more into account. If you use the right profiles for your operation, the platform will warn you if your planning is not feasible or if your vehicle does not meet the required limitations. By taking all factors into account and having access to all data, you reduce your costs in terms of transport driving time, kilometres, damages and fines. But you also reduce the stress level of your drivers. And what about the value that our data offers the entire chain, and therefore also your end customers, always being up to date in real time. In short, using the Semacon platform is advantageous for all transport activities, for all stakeholders, on all fronts.
So we're back in the control room after listening to the explanation of Floor and Anne. And I really hope that for Alison and the audience, this was interesting, a deep dive into data. So a big thanks to Floor and Anne for all the effort they put in this. And I think it was a quite complete story from pre-trip, on-trip, post-trip. The foreseen events on the road and the unforeseen events on the road, they were touched on with the seasonal factors. And I think, last but not least, even look into the future, which is not only about efficiency, but also about sustainability and safety on the roads, for example, with mentioning the environmental zones. I have a big question to you, Alison. This gave an answer to your challenge.
Apologies. Absolutely. Wonderful to see the data, how it differs across each day of the week, how the data can be then obviously stored and you can look at history. I suppose the only one question I've got, why do you think that sunshine in the UK would be such an issue? I think you should have looked at whether it's raining or not.
I really would like to hand over this question to Floor. How should we do that?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question. Can you repeat it for me, Rob?
Okay, the question is, how much should we bother about sunshine in the UK with effect on traffic? Maybe we should put more focus on rainy days, if I understand Alison correctly.
Well, we are just positive as always, and we try to send sunshine over to the UK all the time. So that's why we still keep the sunshine and the rain into account.
Okay. Alison, is there something that, because as you know, we are originally a Dutch company, we are making our steps abroad. Is there something that you really would like to share with the audience about what is typical for your operation that is a top priority when it comes to data?
Absolutely, it's delivery on time and accuracy of that delivery. We have strict window times and making sure that the pre-plan, the plan itself, rolling out on the road matches those expectations of our customer is our utmost importance. It's our major KPI, being able to deliver in a very strict time window.
Okay, thank you for this further explanation. I think that fits quite well with what we have seen over the last 10-15 minutes. Alison, let me thank you so much for your availability for us to provide the challenge with us and also your availability today. So thank you very much for your attendance.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Okay. I also would like, of course, I would like to thank Floor and Anne for their work. And last but not least, a big thanks to the audience today for joining us. I think in Europe, we are closely to the summer break. I think that we all deserve summer breaks. I hope that a lot of us in this call will enjoy that in the coming months. We will try to do that for sure also within Semacon. So I wish everybody a very good holiday period, and we definitely come back after the break. Thank you very much and see you in September. Bye-bye.
Bye.